Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we suggested you look at the simulacrum, didn't we?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So I'm Oliver, and I'm looking at virtual power and exploring what that means. And so this sort of overarching thing is it possible for the virtual to influence power structures of the real, and what does that mean? So there's these different views of what the virtual are. Like there's one view which I had at the beginning, last crit you go through it, the Platonist view of the separate virtual from the real. And so an example of this might be these sort of online games. This one's called Perfect World, where you can sort of do whatever you want. You can like walk around with a sword in your costume or whatever, or you can ride with your friend on a horse, or you can ride a tiger that's riding an eagle if you want. You can do sort of whatever you want, and it has no relationship to the real, or it can be viewed that it has no relationship or no influence on. So one of my makings sort of speaks to this separation kind of quite nicely, which is the Fourier scan that I did. So there's the space out there that I scanned and then turned into a digital model, and there's this kind of very sort of different spatial qualities to them, which can be viewed like if I change something in this virtual world, it doesn't have any effect on the real world. So then I started reading Deleuze and Grosz and all them, and started understanding the way they view the real, or as this kind of connected space. So Grosz sort of views it as a more symbiotic link, like they're sort of separate entities kind of in a way, but they have influence over each other. Perella sort of explains it as the virtual as an extrusion of the real. So yeah, it's like an extension of the real. And this is that precedent that I found before by Norman Leto, who scans people's lives and then turns them into a digital model through some.
These were famous people, weren't they?
Yeah, I think this one's Michael Jackson, I think. And then Deleuze, his understanding of it was really interesting because there's no separation. They are both the same thing. Like you all have me as a person, I have a body and everything, but that's not all I am. Like I'm all your memories of me, and that's what makes up me. That is me, like all your memories of me, and it's all interconnected. And here's another making I did, which is the one that you've seen already, which is the scan of the officers behind. I'll just play it while we talk over it. And I think the theory in relation to this kind of speaks to this interconnectedness, that there's a physical space, but there's a digital scan of it. And so I'm sort of trying to bridge that or go between them. But yeah, there was another reading of it which Amanda had of it, which was the more me as a student going into my tutor's offices and scanning them, which I sort of tried to follow on with these later makings. So this is another experiment where I scanned all the tutors' staff profile pages on the Massey website. So from that staff profile, I extracted the text and the work image as well, which was associated with each tutor. And then I developed an algorithm or a plugin which scans the text and then makes a digital model from it. So it's kind of a reading of the text, or a scan. And then I overlaid that work image over top of it as well. And here's a sort of a view of it. So like the Norman Leto example that I gave, this is a kind of a way of comparing between things. Like the virtual extrusion of the staff compared in a way. And then that's why I printed them out as well, so you can sort of compare between them all however you might like. But yeah, it's quite interesting because they sort of fit the people, kind of in a way, like.
Do they?
Like a little bit, yeah. Like Sam's one's quite like obtuse and quite large.
Is Sam obtuse and large?
Yeah. Well, like sort of, and he's exuberant, kind of in a way, and like.
What's Ant?
Ant's this one here.
And what are the adjectives?
Well, I don't want to. It's easy to talk about Sam because he's not here. Yeah, and Dorita's one as well, which is quite.
Oh, that's definitely a large and obtuse.
Yeah. But kind of streamlined as well, and like got a bit very directional kind of.
It's
And
overseas too.
Is it though? Is she? Who knows where she is?
Yeah, and
It's virtual.
Yeah,
She's virtual.
yeah. She is virtual.
yeah. So yeah, and like Catherine's one's quite interesting and like different, sort of more formally. And then we've got Stu, Jennifer,
Oh, we talked about
Amanda here.
we talked about you taking their PBRF.
Yeah, I tried to do that, but there was some ethics kind of stuff that I can.
That's potentially still in the process.
Right. No, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
You could then market that to TEC, to Tertiary Education Commission, as a way for them to do data analysis on academic staff.
Yeah.
Build profiles.
Yeah, and I think this kind of starts to do it, kind of, and you can sort of imagine maybe what your one might be, as well, if you have enough examples.
Well, yeah.
Or not.
Or not.
Are you the only boy in the class?
No, it's the other guy.
Nah, he's
No.
pulled out. So.
Oh, he's pulled out.
The only
Yeah, because I bet you're the only one who does this. Why haven't we seen, with all of the soft experiences and the other kinds of experiences, anybody manipulating digital imagery? Like, what is it?
I don't know.
That's a bigger question. Though.
Yeah, it's really interesting though.
It is. It's something else.
What do you think you're doing? I don't mean that as a challenging question. I'm really curious as to what kind of design project do you think it is?
Well, I've got some sort of possible things.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking about further, like what it could turn into, or what it is? Yeah. Well, I think the power thing is the most interesting in terms of sort of scope, because that was sort of an unintended thing that I didn't go into the project thinking about. So, if we could sort of do this with the government or something.
What do you mean by power in this respect?
Well, like, because the staff have a certain power over me as a student in that place, if we can do that same sort of model but for other power relationships, then it might sort of tease out other things or help sort of bleed that power.
Explain power.
How just in what you've done, in what way has it shifted your relationship to the staff in terms of how
I'm not entirely sure to what extent, but I think that I'm sort of closer to them in the fact that I've had to communicate with them about this sort of stuff. But also now that it's kind of like because it's a quirky thing I've done, I've turned them into fish.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's like you become a trustee.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, which is like a caretaker or something of my aquarium of starved fish. So I have this sort of power over that, sort of, so they're sort of
Yeah.
transforming their power.
I mean, in my mind, you've kind of poeticized the way that they have to identify and brand themselves institutionally.
Yeah.
So we're actually, as staff, having to put up online our profiles, and there's a certain kind of, generally a certain kind of structure to it, you know, research activities,
Yeah.
our role, blah blah blah, and our titles or whatever. And in this sense, you've taken the text, although the text is still up there. I suppose that's just to compare how they've translated from one to the other, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that sense, I see them as a kind of poetic, flattening out hierarchies. I mean, if we just put up that as our staff profile,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's interesting,
Would,
perhaps, in terms of power.
would it be possible for you to engage with a temporalization? Because no staff member is static.
Mm.
And so these become animated and
Swimming around in the green.
and then you think about morphing
Yeah.
as staff collaborate.
Yeah. Okay.
So that there's a kind of dynamism
Yeah, yeah.
to the fish tank.
Yeah, nice. Fish
And
fish
no,
tank.
I would actually look at this lovely little piece of writing by Michel Foucault called The Eye of Power, in which he talks about how power is spatialized, and that nobody is ever in control. Rather, power is exercised, but it's exercised by a certain spatial structure.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to think about, if you like, the dynamic space of the virtual as the structuring spatiality of relations of power.
Mm-hmm.
Power is a relation; it's not a substance.
Right.
It's not that I have power. I don't have it. I can exercise it, but I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think of what you're construing as the virtual as a real relation of power,
Right.
as a spatializing of a real relation of power, which you can read off it, and then you think about the dynamics, because power is always shifting in that respect, or the exercise of power is always shifting. Sometimes you can have more say than you think you can. You know?
Yeah.
But I would certainly read up on. I actually, probably one of the best to read is Foucault on Power.
Okay.
There's a little collection of essays in a book edited by Colin Gordon. The collection of essays is called Power Knowledge, and they're some of the best essays on the notion of power that is exercised spatially.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's great.
Thank you.